My child has got a bit of alopecia going on. going on. Sorry, we do not have the money for a doctor. I guess I should start a GoFundMe. Do you need a GoFundMe? Let me do a comb over. Okay. So, welcome to my chat. Be sure you hit that subscribe button in the face. I have had a great day so far today. Well, since yesterday was yesterday and now it's 12 o'clock, that means this is tomorrow. So this is a great day too. This is one of my favorite books, Love and Law by Ernest Holmes. Absolutely. Um, absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I love Ernest. I love Ernest. Um, love the drawing. As you can see from the book, the color warms up when I get closer to. But Ernest Holmes was born in 1887 and he died in 1960. He was an internationally recognized authority on religious psychology. His inspirational books include Creative Mind, The Thing Called Us. I'm not going to read all of them. Science of the Mind, and the compiler and editor of this volume is Marilyn Leo. She's a minister in the United Church of Religious Science, or she was. So that's a term that I think I said wrong in this discussion group, and this lady like hops all over me. I think I called it Christian Science, and she's like, "It's not Christian Science." I'm like, "Well, what is it?" And then she said, "Well, I don't know that she said it, but I guess religious science, religious science." But as I've learned, okay, Ernest was a Christian, but that's kind of you don't really need to concentrate if you don't want to like concentrate on that. You don't need to. Um, I just dove right in. I first discovered Charles Fillmore because I was doing I looked for prosperity online. I was typing prosperity, and this page popped up, and it had his oh, let's see, did I write it in here? Which I really should have. I really should have. It's called. Mm, 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 mm. I don't think I wrote it in here, but it's called the 12 Principles to I think Emotional, Spiritual, and Financial Prosperity by Charles Fillmore. And I printed it and saved it and bound it, and then I left it in a car that got repoed. Of course, I didn't realize that it was in there, but I knew that like my stuff was going. The guys told me, that I can. They're like, they were giving me a chance to like get the stuff out, but I was just like, I wasn't mad. I was just like in a different. I was on the B train then, so I was just. And now, when I think about it, I just think about like all the stuff that was in there and blah blah blah, which I need to like not go there. In my last video, I read out a part that is one of my favorite parts of the book, and I have it underlined. It says, "Don't read about and talk about. Don't read about and don't talk to anybody about limitation." So, for example, don't say, "I don't have any money in the bank. I don't have this. I don't have that." Blah blah blah. It it draws it to you. Don't read about divorce, murders, robberies, and accidents. As far as you're concerned, there are no such things. That's right. There's no such thing as someone breaking down the door and coming in with a knife, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The newspapers are not fit to read. Read the Literary Digest. It gives you the best there is. Don't let horrid stories enter your consciousness. That's right. It really is a right. You can erase from your own consciousness anything that will take the time to do by pouring into opposite thoughts. So instead of thinking, I'm fat, ugly, and lazy, think I am the bee's knees. I am fantastic. I am wonderful. Here's another part that I just bookmarked. Remember, if you want to get a big thing, you've got to expand your consciousness so you would be able to receive a big thing if it were to come to you. And the same thing could be said about me, you know, same thing. There is always a reciprocal action between mind and that which is universal and that which is individual. And when it is flowing through you, you must realize you're dealing with a law which cannot not demonstrate. You are not taking any chance. You are not asking any questions. You are not making any supplications. No, you are not making a prayer from the ordinary standpoint of prayer. You are using a prayer which is, and you have a right to use it, and it will reach right up to your ability to use it. It is limited by our mental concept, absolutely. While it is the power that makes that planet and everything on it, it makes you and it makes me. When it comes to work in our life individually, our own conditions and over our bodies, it can only flow in through our consciousness, no other way. And what we want to do is provide that great big consciousness within. Make our unity with big projects, with big things, big enterprises. You can never jump away from yourself because, don't you know, when you jump, you take yourself right with you. And when you land, there you are. People try to jump away from themselves. People think, if I had a definite condition, if I had a definite place, you've got to provide this thing where you are. If you were in hell, and when hell is cooled off, you're ready to go somewhere else. You've got to save yourself. And if the world had realized that years and years ago, the world would not need any more salvation today. Who is coming to save you? Why, God has already done it. God has done everything there is to be done. We can think of nothing better than this earth. We can think of nothing better than this earth is. It is beautiful. It is lovely. It is bountiful. Yet we are in the midst of plenty starving to death, in the midst of harmony, yet miserable and suffering. I have to read that again. We can think of nothing better than this earth. It is beautiful, it is lovely, it is bountiful, yet we are here in the midst of plenty, starving to death, in the midst of harmony, yet miserable and suffering. We have all the fullness of creation, and yet we live like animals. And in a childish, weak way, we blame everything on God, and then we think we are suffering for righteous sake. This is a mistake, for it is not right to suffer. It is all wrong. Else we would have a suffering God, which would be a monstrosity. So then we must conclude that we are suffering because we are wrong. And when we harmonize the law, why, law is ready right off to be used. So then we have to get rid of that false concept before we can demonstrate. We've got to get rid of it. We've got to realize that our unity with real life, with real things, and no longer with little personal things. I think I got the best results when I do it this way, viewing my affairs from an absolutely impersonal standpoint. Instead of saying, I have to do this, or saying, this is my work, and I have this to do, and I have just this much strength to put into it. We should kind of get away from our work and let this thing be operated upon. And here we stand. The silent force of mind flows through us and does it in an impersonal way. Then money comes to us in houses and lands. If your consciousness is right, you cannot keep them away from you. They will come and unconsciously dump right down on top of you. Jesus told the people that years ago, he said, houses and land will be added unto you. It is an absolute fact. They will be. The ordinary person grabs at them and steps on them so that nobody can take them away. That is not the universal principle. The universal principle is flowing in and out constantly. I have come to have money, houses, and lands, and automobiles, and they are in mind, every one of them to use. But I would not own anything in my possession that I would not willingly take out and drop and not care if I ever heard of again. I mean, in the objective. It has a real scientific fact behind it, and that is the principle of circulation. Do you know if you tie a cord around your leg so you stop circulation, that your leg will die in a few hours? Everything in nature provides for a complete circuit in itself. If things are congested, they must stop. I love that part. I've read this book. There are certain parts that I underline. I haven't underlined this part. I just started reading, but I love that. But I would not own anything in my possession that I would not willingly take out and drop and not care if I ever heard of again. I feel like I'm at that part, but not, I don't feel like it's in a good way, though. It's like when you get stripped of everything, and then a part of you says, well, I just don't care. I don't feel that Ernest is saying that. I don't feel that's his um, motivation. I think what he's saying is that things have been added to him, and he has things, but he's not stepping on them so that they can't be taken away. His attitude is, I have it, I use this. If it's gone, it's gone. On to the next thing. I think that's what he's saying. You will find in practice that what will happen is this. If instead of being so grasping, well, I believe that we should always be getting, always accumulating more and more and more to the very last day we live, not to hang on to it because every consciousness should be constantly expanding. We're living in consciousness and not in conditions. So this is the way we should look at it. There's just life, and so we are in it. Suppose in your practice you are seeking to demonstrate. You realize first this power flows by, and all you have to do is reach out and take it. You give directions to the law, and the law returns the thing to you. And think that is mine to use as long as I want. I am master of that law. I say the point is this: there is no power, and that power in itself impersonal, so long as we remain simply in our personality. We are not letting in that impersonal force to flow through us. So in our conditions, we should not struggle. The big things are done. If you want to attract the if you want to attract to you great big things, if you are a little afraid, they won't come. Get rid of that. Aw, I see Mr. Magoo. I see you. Now you're in the way. People can't see Meester. There's Meester. Meester is a black and white. Oops, sorry. Bend down a little bit. There. Meester. Meester. Mr. Magoo. There he is. Hi, Meester. Get all the quieter in your consciousness. You will still be going about in the objective world, attending to things just as usual, but behind it, all there is a power you know is all right. It is all right, and it will see the thing, and it will see it done. It is the wonderful way that thing will work if you learn to let it alone. Most of us get started and not realizing that all is mind, or just partly realizing it. Thought is the most subtle thing, and we disturb a demonstration with a little fear about it. We are setting some obstruction in the way, and since all is mind and you think a little obstruction, there's the obstruction. So you must know the whole thing is done from the beginning to the end. So all the time we must be expanding our consciousness, and you have got to take time to do that. I do not know of any shortcut to do it. I do not know of any shortcut to consciousness. Consciousness has got to be developed by persistence, by endeavor, by maintaining an even temperament with yourself. You've got to be on good terms with yourself most of the time. That is not easy. There are not many people who are that way. You've got to have a good perseverance with yourself. You've got to set yourself on the path again and get along with yourself better and let yourself have a chance. Never condemn yourself. I love that. Never condemn yourself. Forgive yourself if you have done wrong. That is right. We have the power to forgive ourselves. So set yourself right, and then you will find you are sailing along smooth, and you are almost there, and flop, down you go. And again, you've got to do it again. It does not matter how much patience it takes. It is the only thing that will win out. Perseverance and patience with yourself until you can see that each succeeding month, your consciousness is learning. The thing that will follow in its turn. Instead of saying to my patients, how are you getting along? I say, are you thinking right? If you are neutralizing the wrong thought within, the right thought will come to you. Are you thinking right? If you are neutralizing the wrong thought within, the right will come to you. Now we will take our treatment. Put everything out of your mind. This class is for conditions. Take something that you feel your mind can encompass, something of which you have a mental cognizance within you now, and then realize that this word which you speak is surrounded by an active power which projects itself around the word, forms the thing which the word embodies, and objectifies it in some way. We do not have to know the way. In perfect calm, confidence, and perfect trust in yourself, wait. No matter how big a thing you have got, forget it. It is just as easy to demonstrate a big thing as a little one. The whole thing must be done without a sense of strain. God does not struggle. God just knows. So when we give a treatment, there should be no sense of strain or strife, but a sense of calm confidence and perfect peace, which is born of that inner conviction that knows that beside me there is none other. Since there is nothing to oppose our word, since it is the word which is all, it does not have to struggle. We feel we are using the one power there is. We believe and know that our word, which is spoken forth into this power, is the law of good. Saying this here and now, we know that nothing can hinder it. With perfect confidence, let us each take that thing which we are working on. The treatment which I give is for myself, and each one of you for yourself, and our united consciousness. Our belief strengthens everyone. I am thinking of the thing I am working on for myself, a great big thing. I feel that my consciousness is big enough to realize what it is, mine to have that thing. I feel that my mind can give birth to it. And so I know that the word which I am speaking now is the law of this thing. I can just feel it surrounded by infinite intelligence and power. I know that this word, I can feel it, is backed up by infinite life. That the very presence of that power and life which permeates this word is enough to destroy every race consciousness that manifests, destroy every thought which is negative or which is a suggestion of limitation or lack. This word is the law of immediate activity in this thing. Realize that this is the law that says it now. It is the law of perfect harmony. There is no obstruction in the path. Nothing can obstruct it, neither people, place, nor things, because none of those can intercept it. It is done now. Perfect harmony, causation, perfect activity. Divine intelligence is leading, guiding that law of perfect attraction in me, which is the spirit of the Almighty in me, because I believe I know that it is going out and drawing that thing back to me. I know that my word is one with the infinite mind. I feel that word has become a universal word. Let your consciousness go out as we realize that we are with all life, with all people, with all things, with mind, with all mind. Just feel that you have passed the whole thing over to the infinite power, and just feel that it is being taken up and done. We have no personal responsibility. And we know that beyond it, all is the infinite intelligence and power and love of the Spirit. The God of all life and activity and all power and all love and all attraction, the irresistible power of the Spirit, which sweeps before it everything and knows all and knows it is done. If you are seeking anything that contradicts that principle of unfoldment of life and love, you are contradicting a universal power, which, while it will bring the thing to you, might do you more damage than good. But we are none of us desiring anything that does not feel good. Do not hesitate to use it for the very smallest and greatest thing in your life. It will work. Give it attention during the week. Let yourself every day during the week demonstrate. You must do that. Of course, to get the perfect concept. Keep right at it. Refuse to see the opposite thing or have anything to do with it. Know that it will work. Have absolute confidence in yourself. Be willing to do it in every way, shape, and manner that you want the law to do for you. See everything right, everything perfect. Don't talk, don't talk with people on the negative side of life. Keep away from them. You cannot mix oil and water. Tell them you do not care to discuss these things. You have more time to use when you're away from them. There are not any two ways, and see that you demonstrate. So, I did demonstrate today with I was in the news chat here, and I what did I say actually? And this is kind of maybe going against the law, but I said when I'm talking about the law, I'm talking about with Holmes law. A lady was killed at Kroger's in Kentucky, and I said, "Well, I wish I could change places with her because nobody cares." I don't think I said nobody cares, but I said I have nobody. I said I have nothing. And so the person said something like something positive, and I thought they said something about praying, but they said something, they're thinking about me or whatever. And so then we were talking from there, and it was just positive. They were just being very positive. And I do know that you, as what I've read, getting rid of the negative, but things pop up. You've just got to keep denying and denying and denying, but things pop up. So just keep denying that. And some of denying that is saying that I am here and I'm still here and still here and here for a reason. And what is that reason? I can say that that reason is to do good and bring good to people and enlighten people and myself and to experience. I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and that's what I'm doing. So I started reading The Attractor Factor by Joe Vitale. So I was looking online and I was looking at some like negative stuff that people have posted in like 2008 about was workshop or whatever. And but then after that, I clicked on Pluto TV, and Pluto TV is a thing that you can download where you can watch TV. Now, they don't have a guide that says this comes on at this time and this comes on at this time. You have to just sort of, when you're on, scroll through. So I clicked on this channel, and I think it's called the She channel. And do you know what was up, Joe? Joe was right there, right on the channel, talking. And it was his segment from The Secret because he's in The Secret. And that's it. I put that out there. I picked this up. I'm learning about this. I'm drawing this to me, and it came. And it's just when stuff like that happens, it's synchronicity, and it's nice. It's really nice. Really nice. I also had started like skipping around. I folded down this thing, and I also circled it, this part. Let me see. Win the lotto. I'll read the sentence. In fact, as you'll see, everything in life seems to be plastic. You can mold it to fit what you want and where you want to go. Even right now, as you read these words, you could begin to play with new possibilities. What do you want to be, do, or have? Win the lotto? Why not? Increase your business? Why not? Heal something? Why not? Have more money now? Why not? A friend of mine asked, how do you know what is impossible? I replied, how do you know what isn't? He talks a bit about the episode called Shore Leave in Star Trek, where Kirk and his team land on a planet to check it out before sending the rest of the crew. And so McCoy sees a huge white rabbit, and Sulu sees an ancient samurai who chases them, and Kirk sees an old lover and an old rival classmate. And they find out that their thoughts, they're on a planet that reads their thoughts and creates what they think about. I think Earth is that planet. What you hold in your mind with energy and focus will tend to be created in reality. You'll attract it. It takes a little longer to experience results because we keep changing our minds. Imagine going to a restaurant and ordering chicken soup, but before it arrives, you change your order to wonton soup. And before that arrives, you change your order back to chicken soup. You'll sit there and complain, saying, I never get what I want. When in reality, you are the reason your soup is late. Most of us do that every day. Our indecision makes attracting what we want nearly impossible. No matter, you end up feeling that you can't have what you want, yet it doesn't have to be that way. Consider what Francis Larimer Warner wrote in Our Invisible Supply, Part 1 in 1907. Spirit is substance which forms itself according to your demands and must have a pattern from which to work. A pan of dough is as willing to be formed into bread as biscuit. It makes a little difference. It makes as little difference to spirit what we demand. That's the foundation for the 5-step process I'll describe in this book. Knowing that life can be different for you and that life itself will support you in what you want is the attraction factor. Here's a clue of how it works. Written by Genevieve Brand in her 1921 book, Your Invisible Power. Try to remember that the picture you think, feel, and see is reflected into the universal mind, and by the natural law of reciprocal action, must return to you either in spirit or physical form. The activities we observe in the outer world are but typical of that which is taking place in man's inner world of thought and feeling. So, you can be happy right now. In 1917, Ralph Parleen wrote in his book, The Big Business of Life, whatever we do, we are doing it to be happy, whether we realize it or not. You want a new car, so you will be happy. You want more money, so you'll be happy. You want help, so you'll be happy. You want that loving or lusty relationship, so you'll be happy. Happiness is your goal. And here's another secret. You don't need to have anything else in order to be happy right now. You can choose to be happy. I know that's a tough one to grasp. Just today, I received a call from a nurse caring for my best friend. The call was disturbing, to say the least. I was told my friend may need drug rehab. This news was causing me to go into a tailspin, right into unhappiness. A few hours later, I drove out for an acupuncture appointment. As I drove through the Texas country hills in the beautiful area where I now live, I realized that I could be happy anyway. My happiness wasn't going to help me or my friend. My unhappiness wasn't going to help me or my friend or my driving. I could choose to be happy. Does that sound like a wild thought? We're taught that outer circumstances dictate how we feel. What I've learned is that the outer is simply the illusion of what seems real enough, I agree. But when what created that outer is your inner, and that's where the attractor factor comes into play. As Paul Ellsworth wrote in his 1924 classic book, The Mind Magnet, consciousness is cause. Let me explain further. If you don't pay more now for a pair of shoes than you used to spend on a car, your prosperity consciousness needs to work. Randy Gage, 101, Keys to Your Prosperity. Hmm, interesting. So I guess I can like break it down. So let's say you used to buy a car for $500. So now you need to get a pair of shoes for $500. Okay. An introduction to the attractor factor. Ooh, we can't step. No, we should not step on a computer. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's a right thing to do. And he opened up a webpage that says Queen Elizabeth is reportedly angry with Kate Middleton for a very strange reason. And I think this is one of those things where I have to scroll into next and next and next, which I'm not going to do right now. But that is the page that, this is a commercial. It's some commercial for um, some cosmetic something. It's stupid. Very stupid. Thank you, dog, for opening that webpage. A friend of mine and I were having lunch in my hometown, Niles, Ohio, one day. I was there visiting my parents. My friend wanted to know the key secret to manifesting your own reality and attracting more wealth. I thought for a moment and then said, the hardest concept for most people to grasp is that they are the sole reason they are experiencing whatever they have in their lives. They are totally responsible. I could see my friend's head rear back. How is that possible? He almost shouted. I'm not responsible for a car accident I might get into, or for losing my job, or anything else that life deals my way. I took a deep breath. This wasn't going to be easy to explain, but I wanted to give it my best shot. Spirituality is all about taking full responsibility for whatever occurs in your life, I said, good or bad. It has all come to you from you. Joseph Murphy used to say your life is an out picturing of your inner pictures. I don't sit around picturing car accidents, my friend blurted out. Maybe not consciously, I said. But do you watch the news? Yes. Wouldn't you say the news is all about negative stuff? From accidents to murders to crisis in countries we never heard of? Yes, but your mind is soaking up all that programming, I explained. And have you ever noticed how plant how movies plant ideas in your mind? What kind of ideas? Well, ever notice how big business is always the bad guy? You mean like in movies like Wall Street? Yes. Those movies teach you that money is bad, or that it corrupts, or that wealthy people are bad, I went on. The point is, all of this programming your mind to attract the very thing you prefer not to experience. My friend was quiet for a minute. I think what you're saying, he began, is that we're all robots or maybe machines. I gotta admit, that's a pretty accurate explanation until we wake up. We attract things into our life unconsciously, and then we declare we didn't do it. I don't know about this, my friend mumbled. I don't know. That means I chose to be in AA and to make a mess of my life. Well, it does mean that, I said. And you did it for your own reasons. Maybe you wanted the challenge to make you stronger. Maybe you wanted to experience the help. You understood life in certain ways. I don't know. You know, though, somewhere inside you. But what about all people who come into my life and argue with me or make our lives miserable? My view is that everything in your life is an outpicturing of what is going on inside you, huh? I smiled. But I know these were not easy concepts to explain. I often have to reread my own books of much of the success literature out there to grasp the concept of unconscious manifestation or blind attraction. Look, I said, I know a woman who has feminist sensibilities. Because she thinks men are out to rip her off, you can send her to any store by herself, and if a man waits on her, she'll experience him being a chauvinist pig. Maybe the guy is a pig. He probably is. But send a woman without the belief that men are out to get her into the same store, and she'll either not get waited on by the guy, won't notice the personality, or will simply not experience what he might otherwise do. So, what you're saying, we're creating it, all of it. It's like this, I began. This very conversation is a co creation. You wanted to hear someone explain the secrets of the universe. I wanted to articulate these secrets for my new book, we co-created this. My friend nodded but said, I can see what you mean on something simple like this. But what if we were in an angry situation? We were fighting all over these ideas. What could I say? I knew what he was asking. You probably are asking the same thing. What does it mean when people confront you or you have a fight with your relative or spouse or neighbor? You created that too? You created it all, I explained. What you see is an outpicturing of what you believe inside you. I call it an attractor factor. I don't get it. Well, this very conversation is being reflecting what I think about spiritual approach to success. You created me? I created this moment in our conversation, I said. I needed it for my new book. I attracted you here so we could create this reality. Glad I could be of service to you, he grumbled. Well, what about where I disagree with you? You create that too? That's a tough one to accept, but it's true. Your disbelief reflects the areas in me which I don't believe everything I'm saying. That sounds pretty strange, Joe, he said. If this is true, once you are clear with what you believe, then my own doubts will vanish. Either that, or you simply won't air them to me. I got to think about this, he said. This is the attractor factor, I said. It means you are the source of the experiences you see. You co-created them to your experiences for your own reasons. The world is a mirror of you. Seems like I create a prettier world. Well, you can now, I said. Now that you are becoming aware of your own inner power, you can begin to consciously create circumstances. You may not do it overnight or master it in this lifetime, but you can begin it now. How? The question I've been waiting for. It all begins with the 5-step formula I developed. I explained. It's pretty easy. You can even shorten the steps once you master them. But the 5 steps are all it begins. You got to tell me the 5 steps or I have to buy your book. I'm going to tell you the steps right now, I replied, and then you can go buy my book. Mind operates under its own conception of itself. That's A.K. Mozudar. And look, be nice. Be nice. Hey. Well, that wasn't nice. So, yeah, it's very hard to, when you don't feel like things go your way. So here is the, which I haven't seen this before. This is all new to me. Let's see, what's the name of the test? Oh, your prosperity IQ. So I need a pen, and I'm going to reach my hand in here, and I have a pen. I know I do, because I know that I do. I will. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So, okay. It's yes and no. So, all right. Yes. And then no. And do you secretly fear that if you become wealthy, your family and friends might not like you anymore? No. When you grew up, were you ever told things like, we may not be rich, but at least we're honest? No. Did your religious upbringing teach you that it is noble to sacrifice now and that your reward will come in the afterlife? No. Did you or do you feel guilty when you start to earn more than your parents? No. Were you raised to fit in and not do anything to stand out? No. Did you grow up liking shows like Dallas, Dynasty, Gilligan's Island, MASH, and the Beverly Hillbillies? I like Dallas, where rich people were always presented as unscrupulous and conniving, or pretentious and bumbling. Yes. Did you have chronic health conditions that doctors can't seem to solve? No. No. Do you ever get jealous of people with expensive clothes, cars, and houses, which may have led you to develop a subconscious hate the rich mentality? Yes. On some level, do you think it is somehow noble, romantic, or spiritual to be poor? No. Did you ever end a negative relationship, then immediately replace it with another one with a person just like the last one? Did you ever end a negative relationship, then immediately replace it? Immediately replace it? No, no, I didn't do that. Have you sometimes used judgmental expressions like poor as a church mouse, filthy rich, or obscenely wealthy? No, I don't use those terms. Have you ever made excuses for failure by saying things like, you have to have money to make money, or you have to know someone, or you have to get in at the top? Excuses like, you have to have money to make money. No, I really don't say those things. Okay. Do you relish being the underdog and fighting against the odds all the time? So, no. Is it possible that you are experiencing health challenges, financial challenges, or business failures in order to evoke sympathy and attention from all the people you are close to? No. Are you in a stable relationship, have enough money to meet your needs, and basically healthy, but just feel like life is passing you by? Uh, no. Okay. How did you score? I got 2 yeses and 13 nos. If you answered if you answered no to 13, if you answered no to 13 to questions, answered no to 13. This part makes no sense. If you answered no to 13, okay, to 15 questions, you have a very strong prosperity consciousness and can pass this quiz along to someone else. If you answered no to 13 to 15 questions, I did. You have a very strong prosperity consciousness and can probably pass this quiz along to someone else. If you answered yes to 3 or more questions, you likely have some issues of worthiness on a subconscious level. You may be in a holding pattern, afraid to leave your comfort zone. Not me. You're probably not radically unhappy, but there is no passion or excitement in your life. You know something is missing, but you may not know what. If you answered yes to 5 or more questions, you are quite likely in a stagnancy cycle. You make small advances, but also experience setbacks, so that you are not really breaking through to the real success and happiness you desire and deserve. If you answered yes to 7 or more questions, you are headed towards or already experiencing a definite downward track towards serious emotional, physical, and financial challenges. This is the kind of victim cycle Randy Gage was on when he lost everything when he was 30 before transforming his life and becoming a multimillionaire. It is imperative that you take immediate action to break the pattern and stop the failure cycle. This will involve uncovering the limiting beliefs you possess on a subconscious level and radically reprogramming yourself with positive ones. All right. Now, if you fall into one of the last 3 categories, Randy Gage power experience will help you. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Visit any bar and you will hear gossip, complaining, bitterness, negativity. Visit any lunchroom in any big city and you will hear gossip, complaining, bitterness, negativity. Eavesdrop on any family gathering around dinner time, you will hear gossip, complaining, bitterness, negativity. I could go on. The point is, the vast majority of humanity is stuck on this level of consciousness. It is the level of media. It is the level of most conversations. It is the level of low energy. And this very same level keeps people exactly where they are. Do I need to explain this one? Most people talk Most people I talk to every day know what they don't want. I don't want this backache. I don't want this headache. I don't want these bills. I don't want to struggle in my business. Yeah, Lois, you have way around. Unfortunately, that's where most of us leave it. The nature of our conversations, our newspaper reporting, our radio and television shows, and our popular talk shows surrounding us with ideas of what we don't want. It feels good to complain. We don't feel so alone. We feel heard. We feel relieved. We sometimes get answers that make our problems lighter. What we don't realize is that we're activating the attractor factor in a negative way. When we say, I don't want these bills, our focus is on, you guessed it, bills. The spirit of life will deliver whatever you focus on. So if you were talking about your bills, you get more bills. You'll attract it by spending energy on it. Most people are on the level of fear. As Eleanor Moody wrote in her 1923 book, You Can Receive Whatever You Desire. Let us remember that fear is only wrongly directed faith. We are having faith in things we do not want rather than in things we desire. Again, it's not the level most people are on. It isn't bad. It just isn't very positive. And it probably isn't going to get you health, wealth, or happiness you want. But we seldom take this process to level 2. It is a rare person who will stop complaining, fighting, or fearing long enough to focus on the opposite of what they experience. Yet level 2 begins to bring on the miracles and manifestations that we want. Knowing what you don't want is the springboard to your miracles. Knowing what you don't want is simply your current reality. And current reality can change. One way to protect yourself from the negative influences of the world at large is to abstain from them. I remember reading how Mark Vicker Hansen and Jack Canfield forbid any negativity in their offices. I love the idea. I don't watch the news or read papers. After a while, you begin to see how you are fed one-sided negative heavy news. None of it is designed to help my well-being. Get them! Okay. All right. But you also have to watch your friends. The people around you will share their views of the world with you. Sometimes it's not easy to separate their view from your view. You want to step up from the world of outside cause and turn into the world of attraction based on energy. One way to do that is to remind yourself that the world in general is on the level of complaining. You want to go up a level or 2 or 5. So these things are very good, very, very good. And I hope that you learn some things you didn't know and are reprogramming or raising the level. That's the thing. Raise the level. Go up a level or 2 or 3 or 5. And thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and look for all of my um, unlimited abundance, metaphysics, and attraction, law of attraction videos.